Welcome back. Well, let's get some analysis now. Zambia's Hakainde Hichilema has been sworn in as the republic's 7th president. Hichilema won the presidential elections last week on his 6th attempt at office. Joining us now is Ringisai Chikohomero, a researcher and political analyst. Sir, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Well, Zambia's veteran opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema failed 5 previous bids to become president. He finally made it. What can you say about him, and obviously a significant moment for him?
It is quite a significant moment for him, and in this regard also a victory for democratic forces in Zambia. I guess the first thing is 6th time is the charmer. He has put in it all. He has done his homework. He really has shown signs of maturing in politics and understanding the issues of statecraft and understanding the dynamics and diversity of Zambia as a whole. Because when you look at his win, it's really transcends across the serious tribal and ethnic lines that have divided and defined Zambia's politics over the last 30 to 60 years since independence. So Mr. Hichilema has really managed to transcend that in this election with a resounding victory. But what is very important is also to remember, if you look at this margin, it's more a serious rejection of the patriotic France leadership and management of the economy than a vote for Mr. Hichilema. These are citizens who are frustrated and dejected by the way Mr. Lungu was managing, and were just looking for an opportunity to vent their frustration and seek an alternative, and they found it in Mr. Hichilema.
And we'll talk about, those frustrations. But significantly, in the president's inauguration, we saw how the stadium was filled. Now, does this mean Zambians have trust and hope in him? I mean, I've been following some of his tweets. He called this a new dawn.
So there are 2 things at play here. One is the narrative and the mobilization force and the quality of mobilization that Mr. Hichilema has managed to build since the campaign into the election and into the victory. So what you see in that stadium is really a representative of the build-up to the victory that Mr. Hichilema had. The second thing is almost a euphoria amongst the citizens. If you had noticed that the citizens came out in their numbers and guarded their vote jealously to the extent of meting instant strict justice to anyone who was perceived to want to rig elections at polling station level. So there's a serious level of euphoria that has really enveloped Zambia, and people are so hopeful and really just hoping for a brighter and better future. That is what you see in that stadium being filled up to the brim, never mind the COVID restrictions that are in place.
Now, Mr. Hichilema takes over when the country is in deep economic problems. Your thoughts on that? I mean, also, just speaking about some of the changes that are needed in this country, could this mean we will see significant changes being brought in Zambia based on Mr. Hichilema's political views?
I think so. We really are looking at a new era in Zambia in that regard. And there are 2 things at play. One is Mr. Hichilema's personality and character. He's a sound and solid businessman who has, as far as the public can tell, accumulated his wealth from hard work and integrity. He has managed to create international networks with international financiers and business people. He has also built credit for himself with other heads of states. The White House from the United States directly sent delegation to this inauguration, which speaks to his caliber and character and the kind of networks and links that he has, which is one thing that Zambia needs. It needs stability. It needs someone with the capacity and ability to rein in the fiscal indiscipline that was running wanton under President Lungu. It also needs someone who has clear appreciation of macroeconomic fundamentals. And Hichilema, being an economist himself, has a solid appreciation of this. And he really doesn't vacillate between some socialist principles and neoliberal principles. He is clear in his orientation. That is why he was a key person during the privatization of state assets in Zambia in the early 90s. So he's solid in his orientation, and he understands that you need, for business to thrive, you need to work on ease of doing business. You need to create a conducive environment. But above all, you need stability and confidence. And this is what he's pushing through his speech, through his political manifesto, and through the team that he's assembling to deal with the economy.
And as a final question, do you think his victory is setting a precedent for maybe other opposition parties in the SADC region?
I think it's certainly setting a tone. What he has done from his victory and more so from his inauguration. This is the first time in Africa that we are aware of a winning president has invited both heads of state and leaders of the opposition, at least in the region. So this inauguration was really different and a game changer, one could say so. And this really sets the tone for two things: for inclusive politics, not politics of hate or politics of disenfranchisement, but politics that are centered around policies, inclusivity, and the national agenda. This is what Mr. Hichilema is sending through. And he's also setting the tone for SADC as a region, where the SADC as a bloc has operated as a statesman club, is inviting this plurality and diversity and voices into that stage. And we are really likely to see a change when issues are discussed at the SADC level. Now, but on the other hand, you also have like presidents in Zimbabwe saying what has happened in Zambia will never happen in Zimbabwe. So what you have is other statesmen saying, now we have learned what not to do. We have learned how not to give in to the opposition. We have learned the tactics to make sure that this does not happen. So it's like a double-edged sword in that regard.
All right, Mr. Chikohomero, thank you so much for your time and your analysis this afternoon.